Assalamualaikum and greetings to all. The theme selected for our research is security, and our title for our research is the implications of crime rate in Malaysia during MCO. The purposes of this video are to present our data and explain about the crime rates in Malaysia during MCO. For your information, media used to spread our survey was Google Form. One of the reasons why we chose this application is because it is easy to spread. We can directly forward the link of the survey through many social platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, or even WhatsApp. Next, our survey. Our survey is mainly consists of 10 different questions. It can be divided into two sections. Section 1, which is the general background of the respondents, is mainly consists of 5 direct and factual questions. Meanwhile, for the section 2, it is mainly focused on the issues and people's awareness about crime rates in Malaysia. It consists of 5 divergence and evaluative questions. The number of respondents. The data was collected from 120 respondents. This data will then be collected, analyzed, and interpreted to get a proper view on the crime rates. The crime rates plays a significant role in the society of Malaysia. As we know, if the government can control the crime rates during MCO, the elements of harmony and peace can be achieved among people in Malaysia. Meanwhile, the elements like immoral society, dishonor, and chaotic surroundings are the consequences if Malaysia cannot maintain its crime rates at minimal level. So this shows the crime rates that will cause a big implications to our country. Moving on to the next part.
Hello, I will be covering the awareness response of the respondents. So for this section, we tested respondents' awareness regarding COVID-19 issue. We prepared a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being not aware at all and 5 being very aware for the respondents. As we can see from the graph, 76, which covered 63.3% of the respondents, answered 5. 34 people, covering 28.3% of the respondents, answered 4. 9 people, which covered 7.5% of the survey, answered 3. And 1 people, which covered 0.8% of the survey, answered 2. You can see that no respondents answered the one option, which was not aware at all. So we can conclude that most of our respondents are very aware regarding the COVID-19 issue. The next part is to a yes and no question to test the respondents if they were doing their part or not by staying at home. As we can see, 94.2% of the respondents answered yes, and only 5.8% of the respondents answered no. In conclusion, we can say that most of our respondents are responsible and did their part by staying at home. As for the respondents who answered no, we also provide another section to ask them the reasons why they did not do their part. So we obtained 3 answers, which was they were frontliners, they had problem with their internet and they had to resort to outsourced internet, and the third one, which was they were not aware of the SOP.
One of the hypotheses discussed under this topic is that the most common crime during the MCO or CMCO period would be where Malaysians would not follow the home quarantine rule. To test this hypothesis, the next section or the next question was to ask the respondents what kind of crime had happened in their area during MCO period. The prepared answer was the following, and for the others part, we prepared an open-ended answer section. According to our findings, the most common crime is does not follow the government SOP or those who caught flouting the MCO policy with a percentage of 75.8%, which is from 91 respondents. Second most common crime, which covered 11.7% of the data with a total from 14 respondents, is domestic violence. The third most common crime is domestic burglary, which covers 5.8% of the data reported from 7 respondents. The others answer was filled by 2 and 6 respondents that answered the crime narcotics and none respectively. The most common crime is does not follow the government SOP happens a lot because several Malaysians take the issue very lightly and some are not even aware of the importance of staying at home during the MCO or CMCO period.
What is the trend of crime rates during MCO and CMCO? Regarding this question, 2 hypotheses were created. The first one is MCOs implemented domestic violence will increase. Next, if MCO is implemented, domestic burglary would decrease. Based on our online survey, we can conclude that 56% of the respondents say domestic burglary decreased, while 75% of respondents reported that ignoring of SOP increased. Last but not least, half of the respondents said that domestic violence never happened at all. Domestic burglary. For those who say crime increased, is probably due to many have lost their jobs during MCO, and it's one of the ways for them to survive. While in decrease, during this MCO, many have stayed at home, and this indirectly makes their home security tighter. And for those who said it never occurred, is because it's probably they have their own security system strong from start, and many of this burglary has been able to be detected during roadblocks. Standard operation procedures are introduced during MCO, and some find it difficult adjusting to this new norm. This is probably the reason why the crime increased. And for those who say this crime never happened, it's probably because the area that the respondents are in is very well aware of the current situation. Domestic violence, according to the Ministry Italian Case hotline, they have seen 57% increase in calls, but 50% of our respondents say this crime never happened. This is probably because the respondents do not want to get involved with other people's issues, or the victim just do not simply want to report the issues as it is a sensitive topic.
Now, I'm going to explain about one analysis of hypothesis, which is graph of time of crime. The second last section of the survey, we asked the respondent about what time does the crime occurs most during MCO or CMCO period, either daytime, nighttime, or others. Based on the findings, most of the crime happened during nighttime at a percentage of 55%, which is 66 respondents. Another 38 respondents, covering 31.7%, say crime happened during daytime, while 12 respondents, who are part of the 10%, say crime happened any time of the day. Only 3.3%, which is 4 respondents only, say there were no crime. Can be concluded here is that most crime happen at night because there are less visible witnesses that are active to stop or report the crime at the exact time. In this section, we ended the survey with an open-ended question, which is final discussion. Question is, in your opinion, what could have been done better to ensure the safety and security of people around your area? So, based on this question, we asked the respondents' opinion on how to ensure the safety and security of their area. Most of them answered by enforcing the law. Based on the survey, the first example is to have regular scheduled police patrol to make sure of the safety of the neighborhood. Secondly, there were also suggestions to fully utilize the neighborhood rule, which is rukun tetangga among neighbors to warn each other about potential dangers. Groups could also act as a moral support and check on each other to make sure of their wellness. Can help decrease the issue with domestic violence as a neighborhood is closer to each other. Lastly, the most common answer is to follow the SOP. By following the SOP, it will also increase our home security as we frequently stay at home.
Now, we are almost at the end of our video. We are going to conclude all the analyzed data from our online survey. One of our hypotheses stated that the most common crime happened during the MCO or CMCO period would be where Malaysians do not follow the home quarantine rule, or those who caught flouting the MCO policy. It have been proven by the last data from our survey conducted, whereby a percentage of 75.8% respondents noticed that the most common crime occurred in Malaysia during MCO period would be those who caught flouting the MCO policy, which is from 91 respondents. We can conclude from the data, the hypothesis proposed is accepted. The results of increasing cases of COVID-19, and hopefully the citizens understand that by following the principles, guidelines implied by the government during MCO period is actually beneficial. The next hypothesis in this research is if the MCO implemented, domestic burglary will decrease. It is proven by the answered that we received from our respondents said that out of 120 respondents, 56 of them said the crime had decreased. It is supported by another 2 studies. They also presented the same result. We can conclude it from the data analysis from both surveys and previous articles. It's proven that this hypothesis is accepted. Show whether this hypothesis is accepted or rejected. 32 out of 120 respondents said the crime increased, and the Ministry's Talian Kasih had seen 57 increases from women in distress up to March 26. Reading this report and realizing the increment in domestic violence, authorities use this data as a reference and try to come up with solutions to help those around and lend a helping hand as they will be more aware of the situation. And conclude from this data and this report, hypothesis is accepted. Regarding this hypothesis, conclude that our hypothesis is rejected as it is proven in the data that many have said that the crime still happens during the night time. So, we would propose that this should be revised once again by the next studies or the next researchers. That's all from us. Thank you.